All right, today we've got a really cool story. It's about two different AIs going head-to-head in a competition to, well, read the mind of an entire country. Yeah, you heard that right. It's all about tech, a global crisis, and something as simple as online shopping.
So it all kicks off with this question, right? Something I think we can all relate to. Remember 2020? I mean, of course you do. Our lives changed overnight. But how do you actually measure the feeling behind a huge societal shift like that? It's one thing to see a trend happening, but it's another thing entirely to understand how people truly feel about it.
So here's the scene: Saudi Arabia 2020. To stop the spread of COVID-19, the government puts these limited curfews in place. And the effect was huge, and it was immediate. With physical stores suddenly harder to get to, everybody turned to the internet. All of a sudden, online shopping wasn't just a nice to have, it became an absolute necessity. And just like that, a new habit was born for millions of people.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Were people actually happy with this new digital-first world? Or were they frustrated? Were the online stores and delivery services actually meeting their expectations? To figure that out, researchers needed a tool that could listen in on thousands, even millions of conversations all at once.
This is where the magic happens. This brings us to the core technology of this whole story: sentiment analysis. It's an incredibly powerful way to basically tap into the public consciousness, to measure emotion on a massive scale. Let's dig into how it actually works.
So what is this stuff? Well, imagine an AI that can read a sentence, a tweet, a review, whatever, and it just gets the feeling behind the words. It can sift through just mountains of text and automatically sort it all into emotional buckets: positive, negative, or neutral. You can think of it like a digital pollster that's working 24/7 in real time. For this experiment, the data came straight from the modern-day public square, Twitter, or X. The researchers grabbed over 1,300 public tweets that mentioned the top 5 e-commerce platforms in the region. And what they had was this raw, messy, totally unfiltered snapshot of public opinion. But here's the thing: you can't just dump a bunch of raw tweets into an AI and hope for the best. It doesn't work that way. First, you have to clean it all up. This next part is all about that process: how you take chaotic, messy human language and turn it into something a machine can perfectly understand.
Now, this diagram gives you a fantastic bird's eye view of the whole operation. You see on the left, you start with that raw data, the tweets. Then it goes through that super important pre-processing box in the middle. After that, it gets labeled, the AI trains on it, and boom, you get your results. So let's break down that first huge step, the pre-processing.
Okay, think of this pipeline as a data car wash. First up, data cleansing. It just blasts away all the junk: links, ad symbols, hashtags, all of it. Next, case folding makes every single letter lowercase, so the AI sees happy and happy as the exact same word. Then tokenization chops up the sentences into individual words, or tokens. After that, stop word removal gets rid of really common words like the, and is, words that don't really carry any emotional weight. And finally, stemming boils words down to their root. So shopping, shopped, and shops all just become shop.
All right, once the data is squeaky clean, every tweet needs a label. And this part is so cool because it shows this amazing collaboration between a machine and a human. An AI model took the first shot, predicting whether each tweet was positive or negative. But, and this is key, it didn't stop there. A human language expert then went through and double-checked the AI's work, fixing any mistakes to make sure the data was as high quality as possible for the main event.
And now we get to the main event. Our data is prepped, it's labeled, it's ready to go. It is time to put two completely different AI models to the test in a head-to-head battle. The question is simple: which one is better at reading the sentiment of the Saudi Arabian public? So, in one corner, we have Naïve Bayes. You can think of this one as a probability detective. It looks at a tweet and asks, okay, based on all the thousands of positive and negative tweets I've already seen, what's the probability that this specific group of words is positive? Then, in the other corner, we've got the support vector machine, or SVM. This one is a master of separation. It takes all the data, plots it out in space, and its whole job is to find the single sharpest line it can draw to divide all the positive examples from all the negative ones. Two totally different strategies to solve the exact same problem. All right, the stage is set. The models have been trained. The test data is ready. It is time to find out which AI came out on top.
So, who was it? The probability detective or the master of separation? Let's see how they figured it out. So, to make it a fair fight, they split the dataset.
They took 70% of the tweets to teach or train the models what positive and negative feelings looked like in text. Then they held back the other 30% and unleashed the brand new trained models on that data they had never, ever seen before, to see how well they do. And that 70-30 split, turns out that was the magic formula.
And the results are in. Naïve Bayes, our probability detective, it scored a pretty respectable 69% accuracy. Not bad at all. But then look at the support vector machine. A stunning 89% accuracy. That is a full 20 percentage points higher. It wasn't even close.
Let's just look at that number for a second. 89%. What that means is that nearly 9 times out of 10, the SVM model could correctly guess the sentiment of a random tweet it had never encountered before. That, my friends, is what you call a decisive victory.
And the SVM wasn't just the winner, it was an absolute champion. I mean, if you dig into the data, it gets even crazier. Its precision for identifying positive tweets was a near-perfect 99.7%. Basically, when the SVM said a tweet was positive, it was almost never wrong. Just incredible.
Okay, so this is all really fascinating from a tech perspective, right? One AI is way better than another. Cool. But what does any of this actually mean for the real world? Why should we care which algorithm won the showdown?
Well, the study's author summed it up perfectly. What this all showed was that, despite this sudden, forced shift to online shopping, the overall feeling was overwhelmingly positive. The analysis clearly revealed that people in Saudi Arabia really embraced the move to e-commerce. They found it to be a genuinely valuable tool, especially during such a tough time.
So the big takeaways here are huge. First, this proves that AI gives us a powerful new lens to understand what the public is thinking at a massive scale. For businesses, this is gold. You can use these insights to figure out what your customers love, what they hate, and make your services better. For governments, you can get almost instant feedback on how people are reacting to new policies. What this really is a new kind of map that helps us navigate these huge societal changes while they're actually happening. And that kind of leaves us with one final big thought. This whole study was about shopping, right? A pretty straightforward topic. But if an AI can decode our collective feelings about e-commerce this clearly, this accurately, what else can it read about us? What complex social or political or cultural ideas is it going to map out for us in the future? What is it going to tell us about ourselves next?